Good people of YouTube, it's your boy Chucky Mike back with another reaction video. Today we are doing something a little different. I actually came across this video on a channel called Legion of Men that I follow with that, well, I don't even know what the dude's name is, but this one is how I blew over $136,000 in 2 years living in the Philippines. Now, judging by this dude's physical appearance, I'm going to guarantee most of this is being spent on women. Now, I saw, like, say, a part of this, but I wanted to give my raw reaction to it. So, yeah, let's just play it. Let's see what this old man got to say. I guarantee most of that 100-something thousand is going to be blown on Filipino box. Let's get to it.
Over 2 years ago, I moved to the Philippines with what I thought was enough, but $115,000 in my retirement savings and a $900 per month pension that I would soon start beginning to receive. I'd done the math. I knew the cost of living here was very low. I had my budget set. I thought I had enough to live on comfortably for several years. I thought I was set for life. 24 months later, I was broke, completely broke, and staring at my bank account, wondering how I was going to even survive the next month. So this is the story of how I lost $115,000 in 2 years living in the Philippines, and not because I was scammed or anything like that, and not because of some catastrophic emergency or medical thing, but because of decisions that I made and the lessons that I learned the hard way. So let's get into it. So without any further ado, let's get into it.
Yep. Money, women, drinking.
So let me start at the beginning. Let me start where I was financially when I first moved here. I retired early from my federal government job. I had been there for a little over 12 years, and I had a decent pension. And, I had been contributing to my TSP, which stands for the Thrift Savings Plan, which is really the government's version of a 401k.
Tax-free.
For civilians that don't know. And when I left the U.S., here's exactly what I had. I had $115,000 in my TSP retirement account. I had a $900 per month pension that I was hoping would be starting soon, and that was it. That was my entire financial situation, my entire plan.
That nigga said hope. Nigga, hope is a bad financial strategy. I mean, before I took my ass to the Philippines, I would have made sure that pension was hitting for a couple months before I started taking my ass over there. But that's just me. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have done it. That's just me.
Now, I know some of you are thinking, I know I can hear it already, $115,000? That's not enough to retire on. And you're right. If I was staying in the U.S., but I wasn't. I was moving to the Philippines. And I already knew that the cost of living was a fraction of what it was like living back home in the U.S. You know, I'd already done the math. I'd done my research. I'd visited here multiple times over the previous 2 years. And I knew that I could live comfortably here on about $1,500 a month. However, I also didn't realize that it would take the government almost 6 months just to process my retirement.
That's what I said. I'd have had to need the money in my account first.
My monthly retirement payments. So
he said 6 months.
During that time, I was literally
nothing.
living off my savings.
Getting no money.
But, with $115,000 in savings, that was my safety net. That was my cushion. That was my backup plan if, anything went wrong. I felt secure. I thought to myself, even if I spend $2,000 a month, I've still got almost 5 years of savings. And that doesn't even count the retirement pension that I would be getting. And plus, in 3 years, I also knew that I would start collecting my military retirement payments as well. So I wasn't worried at the time. I felt set. And honestly, that confidence, that false sense of security, that feeling, I've got this all figured out, that's actually where the problems all started.
Problems start for being, you're right, exactly what I said, being thirsty is where your problems
I arrived in the Philippines with my $115,000 and hopefully my $900 a month pension coming soon. And here's the first mistake that I made. I didn't know where I was going to live. You see, I had been dating a Filipina long distance.
What I
was in
say?
a long distance relationship with her for about 2 years before I actually moved here. And right before I left the U.S., we broke up, unfortunately. So I arrived in the Philippines, single, with no plan, no apartment, no home, no nothing. My original plan when I got here was just to have my YouTube channel and, just travel around the Philippines and enjoy myself and, stay in Airbnbs and just video my travels. And what did I do? I traveled a lot. I started in Manila. I went to Cebu, Davao, Puerto Galera, Bohol. I was staying in hotels.
So your plan was to come to Philippines to live on a strict budget. That was your plan. You literally your plan was to live on a strict budget of $900 a month and use the 115 bands as your safety net. That makes sense. However, you start off that initial interaction or initial living in the Philippines with no place to stay, traveling a lot, staying in Airbnb, staying in hotels. That's how you start. And you planned on living on $900 a month. Your travel that first month probably exceeded $900 a month. And on top of that, you didn't even have the money coming in yet. That has nothing to do with being safe. That's just you were just purely you really started retirement with a bang for somebody that was so calculated in the expenses. You immediately did that from the moment you set foot in the Philippines. Before you even get in the Philippines, you immediately broke your budget. Starting off bad, my friend.
And mostly Airbnbs, but constantly moving. And you know what? That gets expensive. Even in the Philippines where everything is, much cheaper than back in the U.S., traveling constantly, it adds up fast. The hotels, the Airbnbs, the transportation, the taxis, eating out every night and every meal because I didn't have a kitchen. I wasn't cooking. But I justified it because I'm retired. I'm exploring. I'm figuring out where I want to live. I don't know where I want to settle.
That throws off your
so
calculations.
This is temporary. I've got plenty of
you would think if he was so calculated in his budget, how do you go from one place to another place with no place to live and you trying to live on this $900 a month budget? That don't even make sense to me.
Money, I'll be fine. And then my ex-girlfriend and I, we started talking again. We decided to.
This probably what accelerated it.
At first she was living in Puerto Galera at the time, but she was working in Bohol when I got here. So I went there to meet her, and we talked. And it was not perfect yet, but then I traveled to Manila and then to Puerto Galera to try to convince her to actually get back together. And
nigga. He talk about me and my ex started talking again. Nah, you kept hitting her up. Or matter of fact, she hit you up talking about some money, and then you started thinking you back in love. That's what happened. See, he leaving out them fine details. She ghosted him, but then she hit him up probably because he was sending her money. So she was like, I need more money. Let me hit this sucker up for some more money. And then he's thinking, oh yeah, she loves me. She wants me back. Let me go and try to see her and convince her to be back with me, even though I'm just an ATM. I bet you that's what happened. These Filipino girls, they be taking suckers like this all the time for their money.
It took me almost 2 weeks, but eventually I was able to convince her and we got back together. So that was another plane ticket to Manila, travel to Puerto Galera, 2 weeks of Airbnb plus food, drinks, and entertainment. And then we got back together. We decided to move to Davao, which is where she was before. So right off the bat, that's 3 plane tickets on short notice. And that's actually where the real expenses started. In Davao, we lived in an Airbnb for a couple of weeks while we looked for a place to live. And we eventually found a nice 2-bedroom condo in Davao City. A beautiful place, modern, upgraded, a nice building, a great location right across the street from the mall, which actually proved to be dangerous because that's also where our favorite bar was located. The rent, 80,000 pesos per month. And in dollars, that's about $1,400 a month, depending on.
Okay, right there. So right there, you allotted yourself $900 a month to live there. You instantly go there. You spend way more money than you got to spend. You immediately start dating a chick that don't like you, and you almost double your budget that you spent that time calculating. You almost doubled your budget within a month of living there. Within 2 months of, I don't know how long it was. You've been there for a month and you've almost doubled your living expenses that you calculated to live on for the rest of your life about a woman. Brother man, what are we doing?
On the exchange. And to move in, yep, first month, last month, and security deposit. 240,000 pesos up front. And that's over $4,000 in US dollars.
So $4,000 out this man's pocket. He ain't seen not a one of his pension checks. He ain't seen no retirement. This is all coming out the money he saved that was supposed to be his safety net. He's spending it on his living expenses and ain't got not a single dime of his pension yet. All for some chick. This man is crazy. This can only get worse.
Just like that, a big chunk of my savings gone.
Whole band's gone.
And
in
that
a month.
Doesn't even count, that we still needed pots and pans and glasses and dishes and sheets and towels and
all the shit.
Not to mention stocking the house with food. Plus, it happened to be right before Christmas, so that also meant a new Christmas tree and
gifts.
Presents for the children and her, the child. But I justified it.
This lady got a kid, bro. This man is buying Christmas gifts for a kid, for a lady, paying rent, paying everything. This lady ain't paid. This lady probably don't even work, bro. This man came in, got this lady a new place, probably paying for her transportation, feeding her kid, housing her kid, buying them gifts for some box. You spent $4,000-$5,000 your first month there about some box. What is wrong with these people, bruh? I would like to see what this lady look like.
Family now. Her daughter is with us. She's 4 years old. We need space. This is an investment in our life together and in my family. And for a while, it actually felt worth it. It was pretty nice. But here's what I didn't fully calculate. It wasn't just the rent. It was food for 3 people. It was 3 times the electricity, water. It was internet, transportation, laundry. Entertainment, what have you. And my $900 a month pension, that barely covered half the rent.
You weren't even getting it yet.
I was dipping into my savings just to cover the difference between all the utilities and the rent. And I told myself, it's okay, it's fine. I've got over $100,000. This is sustainable. We'll be fine. But it wasn't. So after a few months in Davao, that relationships unfortunately didn't work out.
Of course it didn't.
Broke up again.
Of course it did.
I stayed in Davao in that place for a little while, maybe another year, and then discovered that during that time I discovered my passport.
So he pretty much left. She left him, went back to wherever she went back to, right? Or she either stayed in the local area somewhere or probably went back to where she came from. He's still staying there. He's stuck in this apartment because he's stuck there for a year. So he constantly overspending his budget for a year straight, dipping into his savings, barely getting enough of his money to cover the rent. So he dipping into his savings every single month for a girl that ain't even there no more. Because he's in a 2-bedroom apartment with just him now. Looking stupid.
What was missing. And I had no proof about what happened, although I have
Not
a pretty
this lady
good idea.
stole his passport.
So it's a different issue. So that meant making an appointment at the consulate in Cebu to apply for a new passport. And I did a whole video on this one, so I'm not getting into details. But that meant almost $200 for the passport, plus the airfare to Cebu, hotel, food, transportation, blah, blah, blah. I decided to make it a mini vacation while I was there, and I stayed for a few days. And while I was there, I met some really great people. Really great guys, and honestly, Davao is not exactly a hotspot for single guys. So I started traveling to Cebu every couple of months just to get out of Davao and to visit my friends in Cebu, which also meant more airfare, hotels, food, drinking, going out, food, etc. And then my ex and I started talking again. She showed up in Davao unexpectedly, and we started talking again.
She showed up unexpectedly, huh? She showed up at your house. She just happened to go to this. I bet he probably not going to go into how it happened, but I bet he probably reached out to her a couple times, asked how she was doing. She's probably like, "Oh, I'm in your city." Hit him up. "No, can you take me out for lunch?" Paid her. And then she probably was like, "Oh," it probably needed help. So she was like, "Oh, we can get back together. I miss you." Like, you know, and she probably needed that money. She probably ran out of whatever money you was giving her, and she was like, "All right, I gotta get back with this dude again. Sprinkle a little coochie on him, and he back with me now." That's probably what happened. He ain't gonna probably go into detail, but I guarantee that's what happened.
But then I made another expensive decision during that time, and I decided I wanted to move to Cebu. New city, new start, new friends. I found a nice one-bedroom condo there, and the rent, 40,000 pesos per month, which is about $700 a month.
Okay,
And
cheaper than his last one.
Yep, first, last, security deposit, all over again.
Okay.
120,000 pesos upfront, which is over $2,000 in US dollars. And again, another chunk of my savings gone. But at least this place was cheaper than Davao, right?
True.
That's how I justified it to myself. And now I was living alone, so, you know, my expenses would be lower, you know, less electricity and things like that, except my ex and I kept talking. And so eventually we decided to try it one more time. And it was long distance at first, which meant me flying back and forth between Cebu.
Jesus Christ, bro. My thing is, with these type of suckers like this, what is it that the woman does? Like, you keep saying, like, me and my ex tried it. It seems like your ex is coming back only when she need money. Because it doesn't seem like what is her value to you other than some box? What does she do? You're paying for literally everything. You're moving her. You're flying to her. You're feeding her kid. What does she do that's making you want to just... You literally are watching your account balance just go down and down and down and down and down talking to this girl. Why?
And Davao, plane tickets, hotels whenever I went to visit. It still meant dinner.
What do you mean hotels? Why would you need a hotel if you going to visit the girl you with? Why would you need to stay in a hotel? Where does she live? Where does she live? Why are you staying in a hotel? She don't have a place of her own? Like, what? I don't understand. Where are you paying for hotels?
3, gifts, drinks, going out, and it all added up. And eventually, we decided that her and her daughter would move with me to Cebu because I wanted to live in Cebu. So now I'm back to supporting 3 people. But I only had a 1-bedroom apartment. Now, it was large, but it still wasn't comfortable for 3 of us, especially with a 4-year-old daughter, 4-year-old child, but bahala na, right? Now, again, unfortunately, that relationship only lasted about a month this time, and we broke up again.
Jesus.
Now, also, keep in mind that she wasn't working while we were together. She took care of me in the house, and she was completely dependent on me financially, so...
Of course she was. She took care of you in the house. Nigga, you had a 1-bedroom apartment. What is she taking care of in the house? Y'all, you just said y'all are going out to eat every day. You live in a 1-bedroom apartment. You have no car. She don't work. What is she doing in a 1-bedroom apartment? What is she doing that's worth you flying her all over the place and moving her and her kid in? What is she doing?
Every time we broke up, I gave her a pretty substantial amount of money just to live and to start over again, plus plane tickets to wherever she wanted to move. So,
nigga, didn't I say that earlier in the video? Didn't I say he was probably helping her out once they broke up? He was helping her out. He might give her a little money to sustain her for a little bit. Didn't I say that earlier? I was like, he probably give her a little money to help her out here and there. And she probably ran out of money. And then once she started running low on the funds, she'd be like, oh, I miss you. I'm going to be around. We should spend some time. You should take me out to lunch. And then she come back, rope sucker back in, might sprinkle a little box on him one time. And here he go, rope back in, paying her rent again. Then she get mad, probably break up with him, and then go, and she know he gonna give her money, so that she go off and do whatever she gonna do with the money he giving her. Oh my God, bro, this nigga is insane, bro. I have to see what this lady look like, bro. What do this lady look like? I guarantee she's like 5 times more attractive than him. Cause like what? And I guarantee she's like fucking mid-20s or something, mid-20s, early 30s, something like that. Like probably 25 years younger than this dude.
After that, I took a break from dating for a while, and I just spent some time with my friends and, just relax. And then I met my second serious Filipina. it was great at first, and she
They always
happened to
great
be
at
visiting
first.
Cebu while she was healing from her own heartbreak, and we hit it off right away. She was beautiful and fun and amazing, but the only problem was that she lived in Leyte, which is about an hour, maybe an hour and a half flight away from Cebu, which means
Family, you can't meet nobody in your local city, bro. There's like Filipinos walking around in the city. You just said you left this Davao place that wasn't uh like single male compatible. Then you move to this bigger city, Cebu, that does. Why is you dating a bitch that live an hour and a half away? Why are you not just dating the girls that live in fucking Cebu right there with you? Why was you trying to make something work with this lady? Now I already know what he gonna say. I'm gonna fly back and forth to see her. I'm gonna fly her in here to live with me. Now he probably gonna repeat this. He ain't learned nothing from the other lady. I guarantee he about to say I'm about to repeat the process from that I did with the last lady. For what? I was taking a break from being single. I bet you the nigga took like a month. Then he was right back looking because he lonely, bro. He lonely. He need companionship. Get a fucking dog, bro.
I was in a long distance relationship again, and we visited back and forth for a few months. And she
Well,
was
shit. At least this lady came to visit him. She at least had something going for herself, unlike this other lady.
actually the one that I spoke about in my my Christmas video, which I will put up here or here somewhere. And I spent my first Noche Buena with her and her family. And they were amazing. The whole family loved me. They never asked me for anything. But, it was my first time with a family, and I was new, and I wanted to, first time visiting her family, I wanted to make a really good impression. And I kind of felt it was expected for me to pay for everything, being the foreigner, the boyfriend. And I was there for about 2 weeks. And I stayed with her in her house, so I was able to save money on hotels and Airbnb. But still, I still spent about 50,000 pesos between the airfare, the Noche Buena fiesta, food while I was there, entertainment, et cetera, et cetera. And things were really great for a few months.
I bet.
But it just didn't work, and eventually we stopped
I
dating,
bet.
and we just agreed to stay friends.
You was giving them money. I bet.
So a few months later,
I bet they liked you.
I
Giving them money.
Third and last serious Filipino so far, and she lived
3.
in Gensan, which is General Santos, which meant me traveling there to visit her and her family. So again, airfare, hotels, food.
Do
drinks
this,
for 2 of us now.
brother, man. Is there no attractive chicks in Cebu where you live, bro? Why is you going an hour? The one lady would live hours away. You had to fly there. The other lady lived an hour and a half away. Had to fly there. She was coming there. Is there nobody in your local city, bro? Are you like, what are you doing? And why is it that you, to impress these people, you've given them money that you don't even have? Nigga, what's this man's problem? You have a mental illness, my boy.
And she would also come visit me later, and eventually, after a few months, we agreed that she would move to Cebu to come live with me, along with her 18-year-old daughter. And it was really great for a while.
You got a grown bitch living in. You got 2 grown bitches in the house. This lady got an 18-year-old kid. He got 2 grown people living in the house with him in his 1-bedroom apartment. It's wild. So that means he probably gonna have to get a bigger apartment to accommodate these 2 grown people.
But living in my 1-bedroom apartment with 3 people, especially with an 18-year-old that really needed her own space.
2 grown-ups.
Living on my couch wasn't exactly ideal. So what did I do? Yep, I moved again. This time to a very nice 2-bedroom place, 50,000 pesos per month, which is about $900. And to move in, yep, you guessed it, 150,000 pesos up front, which is about $2,700. Now, at this point, I now moved 3 times in less than 2 years. And each time, I'm paying, first month, last month, and security deposit, which is not negotiable here in the Philippines usually. And each time, I'm hemorrhaging money. Not to mention, I'm supporting my family, which also comes with, food for 3 people.
My family? I'm supporting my family? Nigga, how? I want to know this man's upbringing. Like, what are you talking about, my family? That lady is 18. That mean the mother got to be 40 something. If she got an 18-year-old kid, she got to be 40. I mean, unless she was some fucking high school 15-year-old pregnant hoe. But like, what are you talking about? My family? You known this lady for probably a couple months. You talk about I'm supporting my family, nigga. What? Brother, this got to be the simp final boss. Remember they was making fun of that dude in Houston? Talking about we the final bosses. You bring your bitch to Houston, we the final bosses. This got to be the simp final boss right here, bruh. What is it? Why? Why, bruh? Come on, bruh. It like this man account probably has to be under like 40 grand at this point, bruh. So this man started with 115. His account probably says $40,000 right now. What are you doing? And you ain't did nothing but move from different locations, pay for different bitches. You spent probably 60 bands in the past 2 to 3 years on 2 years on some pussy. You have spent 60 bands on pussy. Crazy, bruh.
It means more electricity, it means more water, more food. Plus, it also means new clothes, it means gifts, it means entertainment and going out. It adds up really, really quickly. And if you live here, then you also know that in the Philippines, it's well known that you almost never get your security deposit back from the landlord. So that was money that was just, gone. Or at least I didn't get my deposit back, but most people don't either. And each time I justified it, this is the last move. We're settled now. This is it. But it never was. Hey guys, before we continue with my story, I want to give a quick shout out to my partner Christian Filipina for sponsoring today's video.
Man, I wouldn't sign.
I get a lot of questions asking me about dating and relationships here in the Philippines. And look, I get it. I have tried lots of online dating sites and
people asking this nigga about dating. This would be the last person I would be asking about dating and relationship. I would. That's like me asking financial advice from a homeless person. That's like me asking athletic advice from a paraplegic. That's like me asking for sober advice from a fucking that's like me asking how to stay off drugs from a fucking crackhead. Like what? What? Brother, I'm not even gonna let this ad. You know what, bro? Just because I feel bad for you, I'm gonna let your ad play, bro.
My life,
go ahead.
Both in the U.S. and here in the Philippines.
I just feel bad.
And most that I found were just full of fake profiles, scammers, or women that they just weren't serious at all.
You mean like the ones you? Matter of fact, I ain't even gonna let that slide. You mean like the ones you was talking to, bro? Brother, man. This man is crazy, bruh. What is wrong with this man? Let me skip this shit. Come on, bruh.
So, now, back to my financial disaster.
Oh, there's more?
Okay, so I've told you about the really big expenses like the moves, the rent, supporting family, so forth.
Keep saying family.
But here's
you don't
where
know
I
them
need
people.
to be really honest with you. Those big expenses, yes, they hurt. They really did. But they weren't really the only problem. The real problem was actually my lifestyle. I still lived like I was back in the U.S. In between relationships, I was going out a lot. I had made friends here in Cebu, great guys, fun guys. They were retired as well, and we'd go out multiple times a week, bars, restaurants, the nightclubs. And in the moment, it felt really good, but those nights out, multiple times a week, they were really costing me a lot of money. And I was always afraid to even add it up, but I would guess I was probably spending $1,000 to $1,500 a month just on going out. So you do the math, that's thousands of dollars just on going out.
Just to not be lonely.
And, when I was in a relationship, of course, my partner would join me and my friends. So that meant double food, double drinks, more entertainment.
And then, probably paying for other bitches in between.
Like I said, in between relationships, I was also dating.
Of course.
Casually.
Nah,
but it still meant dinners. It still
and paying
meant
for
drinking.
pussy.
It still meant going out. It still meant gifts. And I'm not proud of it, but I was really spending money trying to impress people. But I also didn't want to be alone. I didn't want to be alone all the time. And here, I have to be honest, it's really easy to get caught up in the atmosphere and the nightlife. And,
You're
you have so many
60,
beautiful
bro.
young women that they like you and they want to be with you. But it really
They
does
don't.
add up, and it adds up quickly.
See what I'm saying?
Without you
You
even
got these young women, they like you. No, they don't. You are a sucker. You are a buster. On any continent you go to, you are a buster. You are fucking 60 years old trying to date girls that are probably half your age. You think they like you? You think they love you? No, fool. All them girls called you so that because you were a walking wallet. They saw you. They said, 60-year-old sucker in the club. Yep, about to take his money. 60-year-old sucker on an online dating app looking for 30-year-old girls. Yep, he's going to pay my rent. Buster.
realizing it. And then there was my other YouTube channel and my coaching business that I was trying to get off the ground. At the time, I was trying to start build a business that was coaching and talked about relationship advice and shadow work and things like that. Plus, I also have an Amazon store that it really doesn't make any money. Especially after I pay Amazon fees and the supplier.
All right, so you were trying to build a business. Why you ain't focus on that?
The new business I had to. And then one day, I looked at my bank account and I realized I was almost out of money. The $115,000 that I came here with, that I started with, was gone. In less than 2 years, I had burned through over $100,000. And
just picture this. This man said he worked at his job, his government job, for 12 years. Imagine you worked at your job for 12 years. You saved all your money. He probably lived super frugal. He probably lived somewhat frugal, unless he was getting paid a lot. But I can't imagine he was getting paid a lot if he only had $112,000 after 12 years, right? I can't imagine he was getting paid crazy, right? So that means he was living frugally, probably, saving as much money as he could just to go to the Philippines and blow 12 years worth of savings in literally 2 years on literally just pussy. You got to feel like the biggest idiot on the planet, bro. And the crazy part is, I know you watched that. Soon as your bank account went from 112 to 100, something activated in here. When you saw that 100, when you saw that 999,000, I know something activated in you, because you just don't see that. That's like a psychological, 100,000 is like a psychological threshold. Something activated where you was like, oh shit, I gotta stop. But then some more pussy came around and you couldn't even recognize. Then you watched that pussy drain you down to like 70,000. And then you was like, oh shit, like there's something in you is still hitting you. The alarms is going off. But you so damn lonely and you so damn thirsty for box, you just kept watching it dwindle down after every girl, after every date, after every drink. That's why you didn't want to look at it. You knew it was happening. You just didn't want to believe this was really happening to you. You just ignored it until you couldn't ignore it anymore. All because you thought you could escape. You thought you was going to come to the Philippines, be able to have your fantasy dream life with some young, hot vagina that you was going to make a family out of. All just to get used for your money. Brother, man, I hope that military pension is coming in, and I hope you have learned your lesson.
My $900 a month pension, that barely covered my rent in the new place. And I sat there staring at my computer screen, feeling this pit in my stomach, asking myself, how did this happen?
You know how it happened.
I thought I had been so careful. I had done the math. I knew what the cost of living was here, and I knew it was low. But what I didn't account for was moving 3 times in 2 years.
Paying for pussy.
Supporting families.
Paying for pussy.
Going out constantly.
Paying for more pussy.
The failed business expenses. Dating expenses.
Paying for pussy.
Traveling expenses.
He literally spent it all on paying for pussy. His family translates to paying for pussy. His dating life, paying for pussy. Going out is pretty much paying for pussy, bro. All his money, he pretty much spent $112,000 or whatever the dollar amount was paying for pussy, bro. You was that lonely, brother. You could, if you wanted to pay for pussy that bad, you could have got it way cheaper somewhere else. But you was better off just paying for a prostitute at that point. What are you doing?
And just overall living beyond my means.
You're
I
living
thought,
beyond your means because the baseline of what you're paying for is pussy. You are paying for companionship. That's what you didn't account for being in a new country, being lonely by yourself. That's what you didn't account for in your calculations. So then you just started paying for pussy, paying for that companionship.
I was being
Get a
smart.
dog.
I thought I had it all figured out, but the reality is I was bleeding money and I didn't even realize it until it was too late. And here's the scariest part. I didn't have a backup plan.
I can't even watch this shit no more, man. I'm over it, bro. Hey, listen, man, I can't watch it, bro. Let me know in the comments, man. Was I too harsh on this man, man? I ain't mean to be so harsh on the man, bro. But goddamn, you 60, bro, and you ain't realized that you was getting used for box after the second time, bro. Come on, man. Then you go and repeat it with somebody else. Then you go and repeat it with another person, man. Come on, bro. I would like to see all of these ladies. I want to see what $120,000 worth of coochie look like. I need to see this. These better be cold dime. I can't even justify. There ain't no way to really justify this. But the only way to possibly justify this, these better be the coldest dime piece, 100 out of 10. These bitches better be 100 on a scale of 1 to 10. They better be 100. Right? And one other way that maybe you could justify it, which you can't, but I'm just trying to give you some sort of out so I can be fair. If you was banging the mama and the 18-year-old daughter, then I'd say it still wasn't worth $112,000, but at least you could get some cool points for that. You know what I'm saying? But come on, bro. This man spent $100 and something thousand on some coochie in 2 years. Spent all his 12 years worth of savings in 2 years for coochie. But let me know in the comments, man, if I was too harsh on the man, man. Man, y'all like, comment, subscribe, man. I'm going to catch you on the next one, bro.